Hey guys, so I'm a little late, but I do have an August wrap up, and it actually was a good reading month for me. I did read a lot of books, so without further ado, let's just get into it. The first book that I finished in the month of August, I actually was more so listening to in July, and that was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book is absolutely amazing. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It's a World War II story set in France, and it follows two sisters. One, Isabel, who is this 5-year-old young girl who really wants to help the rebellion, and she doesn't want to just sit and let the war happen to her. And then there's her older sister, Vianne, who doesn't really want to do anything too crazy to rebel because she wants to keep her daughter safe, and her husband is at war fighting. And then also the narrator is one of the sisters, and we don't know which sister it is until the very end. And it was just done so well. It was really moving, and honestly, if you're thinking about reading it, just go ahead and get it because it is absolutely amazing. The next book that I finished was Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith / J.K. Rowling. This is the third book in the Cormoran Strike series, which I actually thought it was pronounced Cormoran until I listened to the audiobook this month, and it's Cormoran. So Cormoran Strike, and this book was definitely the best out of the series so far. It's the third book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And what I loved about this book was, although there was a mystery and a plot, which was of course a huge drive for the story was also so much more about the characters and about their backstory and their development. So I just think that part of the book was really good, and it's what I'd been wanting from the first 2 books. So I was so glad I finally got it. And J.K. Rowling really pissed me off with that ending because, like, I don't really know what to think about what happened. I have a lot of theories that are just crazy and stupid. But also, when are we gonna get the 4th book? I just need to read it like right now. Next, I read The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson, and I have a spoiler-free review of that down below. But really quick, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was a really great summer read. If you've read anything by Morgan Matson, then you kind of know the feel for her books. It's like a coming-of-age story with the young girl main character who's like a very type A personality. She has a plan, she sticks to the plan, and then her summer kind of gets thrown off course and she has to go with the flow, which she doesn't normally do. It's a really great story. There's a cute romance. She has a cool job walking dogs, and it's just a good story. So this month, of course, I had to read Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which I also have a discussion video of, which I'll link down below, but I wasn't the biggest fan of this book for reasons I discussed in that video. It just didn't really move me too much. I don't really consider it an 8th Harry Potter book, and it was just okay. That being said, I still think I would enjoy seeing the play, but as for the book, not really a big fan of it. So there's been a book going around like crazy, This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, which I just had to pick up because of all the hype it was getting. And this book also was a bit of a letdown for me. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It just wasn't anything too special for me. The world building, I think, was done pretty slowly, and it wasn't a world that I entirely loved or felt like I really could get into. I'm not really gonna give much of a description of it. There's basically these monsters and humans, and they're living in the same area, and it's just a very dangerous dystopian kind of world. One thing though that was really great was my mind just automatically fan cast Jon Snow as August, who is the male character in this book, because it mentioned he has dark curly hair, and I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones, so instantly the character August was Jon Snow. But my mind just like couldn't put him in, you know, normal high school boy clothes. It just kept him in his Night's Watch uniform, the black on black. So all throughout this book, that was the Jon Snow that I was seeing. And there's this one scene, which this isn't even spoiling anything. It was just so ridiculous. So Jon Snow just falls from the ceiling, and he's wearing his black on black, you know, Night's Watch uniform. He just pulls out his violin and then starts playing it for these Darth Maul characters, who I also fan cast these random characters as Darth Maul from Star Wars. And so it was just the trippiest scene, and it was maybe the most enjoyable part of this book for me. Next, I read a book with my book club, In the Woods by Tana French, and I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. This is a mystery novel set in Ireland, and I have never read a book set in Ireland, so that was a first for me. There were a few not great things about it, like you like the characters at the start, and then you like a character at the end because of what the author did to us in this book, which I can't get into because it would spoil absolutely everything. There were a lot of things that were done that I was just disappointed in, and I felt like I was missing something at the end, that we deserved something more than what we got with this book. That being said, it was still a really interesting read. I'm really glad I read it with my friends because this book was frustrating, and it was a book you needed to be able to vent about to someone who actually understood. So for that, I'm glad I read it with them, and I don't know if I want to read the sequel. Like, I go back and forth. At first I wanted to read the sequel, but then I just thought about how the author just did me a disservice in this book, and I'm like, do I really want to read another book that she wrote and get disappointed by it again? It definitely wasn't Cormoran Strike and Robin, which was, you know, another downfall, but no book is Strike and Robin. Where's the fourth book? I need the fourth book. This month I also read November 9 by Colleen Hoover, and I have I think it's a spoiler-free video for that, which I'll link down below. This gave about 3 stars or so. It wasn't my favorite Colleen Hoover book, and I go more into it in my review. It just was a little too insta-lovey, a little too much, a little too unrealistic in that sense. So that's why I just couldn't get into it as much. But if you've read Colleen Hoover and you like Colleen Hoover, then of course give it a shot. It just wasn't the Colleen Hoover book for me. And last, I read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This book was amazing. I gave it 4 to 5 stars, and I also have a video for it, which I will link down below. But this was an incredible book. It's science fiction, and I can't really tell you what the theory is that this book is about because I think that would be spoiling too much. So just go into this book blind. Honestly, I'm recommending it to so many people because I just think it's a book that can be universally liked by a lot of people, and it reads really quickly. It's just so entertaining, and I really want to read more of his books now that I've read this one. I have heard that Dark Matter is the best of his books, so I kind of think maybe I should have started a little lower, but it's a really great book. I love the cover. I think it's just really captivating, and this book was amazing. So those are all of the books that I read in the month of August. Let me know what you have been reading and if you've read any of the books that I mentioned. Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading.